Park, something that has made the king feel uncomfortable for some time, perhaps now made even worse by these latest revelations, because Fergie has been dropped by several charities, as you're just saying there, completely removed from many websites as the patron. And what also is going to happen today is that all this follows those gushing emails to Jeffrey Epstein following his conviction. Now, after his conviction, publicly, she said the friendship with him was a gigantic error of judgment. But then a few weeks later, she privately emailed him saying this: "I know you feel hellishly let down by me, and I must humbly apologise to you for that and your heart for that. You have always been a steadfast, generous and supreme friend to me and my family." Well, Sarah Ferguson says that she was actually advised to write those emails because Jeffrey Epstein was threatening to sue her. We'll say the charities have now dropped her, and her potential earning in future is now all under doubt.
She didn't just trip into scandal. She cartwheeled into it with a grin. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess who treated the crown like a comedy stage, is about to learn that the Epstein fallout doesn't care how charming your punchline is. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how our charities are scrambling to distance themselves, the hidden timeline of affairs and missteps that primed this moment, the money patterns that keep boomeranging back, and why this latest storm could finally hit where it hurts most, her pocket. Sarah Ferguson was never the palace fairy tale. She arrived loud, warm, and gloriously unroyal. Laughter first, rulebook second.
Morning friends, happy Monday. How the heck you doing? I'm back to it. It's all coming out now, isn't it? Andrew, Sarah, Epstein, unbelievable. And the most unbelievable thing about this is the royal family knew about this before Sarah and Andrew were pictured at a funeral this week. They knew about all this scandal and the royal family still let them attend. Absolutely unbelievable. Fergie's Epstein lies exposed in bombshell email. It's actually emails. There's more than one. This is the first one that's been released. She publicly apologised for taking abuser's cash and vowed to cut ties with him, but then weeks later emailed him to tell him, "I only did it to save my book deals." And this is typical of the royal family. The media sets the image that we are expected to believe, that public image, but behind the scenes, that public image is not true. Behind the scenes, they believe they're untouchable, they act in their own best interest, they will do anything to save their own skin. I actually think that Sarah and Andrew are going to be sacrificed by the royal family now. They will be shunned, exposed, because the royal family know to keep the institution alive, there has to be some victims. And Sarah and Andrew, quite rightly, are going to be the victims that are used to deflect attention away from the other people. Comments are open as ever. Have a brilliant Monday. Let me know what you think.
And exited in a blaze of headlines, exile, and apologies. Now, with charities linked to her swiftly edging away, old questions are resurfacing with teeth. Was she unlucky, or did she build the trap herself? Roll back to July 23, 1986. The Windsor machine needed relief, a bright distraction from a royal marriage cracking in slow motion. Enter Fergie. Big smile, big energy, big appetite for life. The press adored her. Courtiers winced. She wasn't porcelain. She was pop rocks. Even then, insiders whispered the dangerous question: did she love Andrew the man, or Andrew the institution? From day one, the marriage strained under distance. Andrew's naval duty turned their life into a series of brief reunions, while the firm expected the new Duchess to be quiet, polished, and invisible between appearances. That was never going to be Sarah. She craved connection, attention, motion. She'd married the man, but what she got was the palace, an ornate cage with perfect manners. Months alone hardened into loneliness. And loneliness, under hot lights, looks for an exit. America provided one. In 1989, at the Houston Grand Opera's British Festival, she met Texan businessman Steve Wyatt. Confident, attentive, unimpressed by titles. They clicked. Rumors gathered, then multiplied. By early 1992, photos of Wyatt with toddler Beatrice detonated across newspapers. The message was brutal. The Duchess hadn't just drifted. She'd crossed a line the palace couldn't ignore. Biographers would later call Wyatt the love that broke the marriage's spine. What should have faded into a discreet separation turned into a cultural punchline. The south of France. The poolside photos. The financial advisor, John Bryan, and the most replayed toes in royal history. The Queen was said to be devastated. Prince Philip's patience evaporated. Fergie didn't just fall from grace. She belly flopped. And yet the public couldn't look away. She was messy in ways people recognized. Impulsive, funny, wounded, hungry for life. That made her human. It also made her a liability. The settlement came in 1996, modest by royal standards, and a peculiar new chapter began. Divorced, yet inseparable. Sarah and Andrew sharing royal lodge, co-parenting, vacationing, presenting as the happiest divorced couple. It was an arrangement that baffled courtiers and comforted their daughters. It also allowed Sarah to orbit the institution she could never quite survive inside, but money, the quiet killer of reputations, kept nipping at her heels. Deals, endorsements, reinventions. Some worked, some exploded. And then 2010, the undercover sting where she appeared to sell access for £500,000. It looked desperate, it looked sloppy, and it looked exactly like the pattern people warned about in 1986. She apologized, crushed, and contrite. The public filed it under Fergie being Fergie, but reputations don't forget. They keep receipts, which brings us to the shadow that won't lift. Jeffrey Epstein. Sarah acknowledged accepting financial help connected to him in 2010 to resolve debts, later calling it a monumental blunder. Words like that aren't PR spin, they're scar tissue. And as Andrew's association with Epstein scorched the royal brand, Sarah's proximity became a live wire. When Andrew was stripped of duties and titles, their cozy coexistence at Royal Lodge started looking less like quirky loyalty and more like shared exposure. Reports swirled that the arrangement may be ending. Not with fireworks, just the quiet thud of consequences. So why are charities stepping back now? Because institutions guard credibility like a crown jewel. When a name draws heat instead of light, boards move fast. Donors ask questions. Journalists follow money. And every past headline, Houston, Wyatt, Brian, access for cash, Epstein, reassembles into a single, ugly mosaic, a penchant for risk under financial pressure. Even if intentions were naive, the optics are radioactive. Nothing scares a charity more than a reputational Geiger counter-ticking louder each week. But here's the paradox that keeps her story alive. For all the chaos, the bond with Andrew never snapped. She calls him kind. She praises him as a father and grandfather. They show up for family moments, still weirdly united. That doesn't look like calculation. It looks like a love that outlived the job. And yet that very closeness, once her soft landing, became the storm center once the Epstein scandal detonated. Love, loyalty, and collateral damage all in one address. Zoom out and a pattern emerges. Charisma without brakes. Independence without guardrails. Big entrances, bigger exits, and a stubborn belief that goodwill could outrun gravity. She tried to monetize redemption, books, speeches, brands. But redemption isn't a logo, it's a ledger. And the balance keeps getting checked every time a partner, sponsor, or charity asks the only question that matters. Does this association help or hurt? Now the money question sharpens. If charities and partners keep distancing, opportunities shrink. Legal bills don't care about nostalgia. Lifestyle costs don't respect sentimental interviews. If Royal Lodge life truly diverges, the safety net thins. And the market for former Duchess, current controversy, is smaller than her team wants to admit. Is she unlucky?
No.
Unlucky is a storm you didn't see coming. Sarah has lived with a weather report taped to the mirror since 1992. This isn't misfortune. It's repetition. But is she a villain? Also no. Villains hide their mess. Sarah wears hers on her sleeve. That's why people still watch. She's the rare royal who bleeds in public, then tries again. That persistence is admirable. That judgment is not. But here's what this moment really exposes. The palace can forgive eccentricity. It can coexist with scandal after enough time and enough funerals. What it cannot risk is ongoing reputational contagion in the age of forensic philanthropy. Every grantmaker, every donor, every audit committee asks the same thing. Will this name cost us trust? If the answer inches toward yes, doors close, quietly and fast. And yet, one truth refuses to budge. Sarah Ferguson is still compelling. A woman who married into a golden cage, rattled its bars, and never stopped insisting she was more than her worst headline. She keeps walking back into the ring with bandaged hands and a crooked smile. That's not strategy. That's personality. It's also why the stakes are suddenly financial. Charm sells tickets. Scrutiny charges interest. Where does this go? If distancing turns into severing, Expect fewer public roles, smaller stages, and a pivot overseas, branded as reinvention but driven by necessity. Expect new ventures framed around resilience and family, carefully lawyered, cautiously sponsored. Expect tabloids to call every step a comeback and every stumble a pattern. And expect the audience, us, to keep watching, because imperfect royals are the only honest ones. In the end, her story answers the question it keeps asking. Was it love or ambition? It was both. That's why it worked, and that's why it blew up. Today, the bill is on the table. The charities are reading the fine print. And for the first time in a long time, the punchline might be payable on receipt. If she wants a different ending, she needs a different pattern. Fewer quick fixes, more quiet years. Fewer grand gestures, more clean books. Fewer headlines, more trust. Because charm opens doors, but only credibility keeps them from locking behind you.